Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Divine and in today's tutorial I'll be showing us how to cut and sew this dress here with side gathers and also this stylish sleeve as we can see. So let's get right into the tutorial for today. So firstly I'm going to be drafting out my straight dress block because that is what we're going to be using for our pattern. So the first measurement I'll be getting is my chest line measurement, which is my bust divided by 4 minus 1.5. After which I'll get my apex, then my length to under bust and my half length. As we can see here, I'll draw out a straight line on each of these points. Next I'll be marking my hip line of 8 inches. I'll rule a straight line across. Then I'll be marking out my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. I'll be marking that on my shoulder line and also on my chest line. Then I'll draw a straight line. Next I'll be going in with my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.75. I'll be marking that from my shoulder line all the way to my gown full length. So my nipple to nipple is 7.5 inches divided by 2, which is 3.75. So I'll be labeling each of these lines here so we are not confused. So I'm getting my gown full length here of 47 inches. After getting it now, I'll just be extending my nipple to nipple line all the way to the end. So this is it, guys. Next, I'm going to be going in with my dart intake of 0.75 on both sides of my nipple to nipple line. So I'll be marking that 0.75 from my length to under bust to my gown full length. So I don't want this dress to be too cuppy, so I'm making use of 0.75 on both sides of my nipple to nipple line. So this is it. Next I'll be connecting that 0.75 inches point to my apex using this side of my pattern curve. So I'll be connecting it directly to my apex point, my nipple point on my apex line. Next I'll be going out by 1 inch on both sides of my nipple to nipple line on my shoulder. Then I'll be going up with 0.5 inches on my apex line. I'll be connecting that 0.5 inches now to the 1 inch points I marked on my shoulder. So this is our shoulder dart and we are going to be cutting it off from our pattern. Next I'll be coming down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope on my armhole line. Then I'll go in with 0.5 inches. Then I'll mark my bust divided by 4. I'll be marking what I get on my chest line. So this is where we impute our bust measurement divided by 4. We impute it on our chest line. Then I'll be replacing what I have on that dart leg on my chest line because we'll be cutting out the dart. So we don't have shortage. I had to replace what was there. So this is my armhole line now. Now I'm going to be inserting my waist measurements divided by 4. I'll mark what I have. Then I'll be measuring what I have for my darts, which is 1.5. I'll be replacing it. So if we don't replace it, our pattern is going to be short. So I'll mark my hip measurement also divided by 4, which is 10 inches. Then I'll be replacing my 1.5 inch darts. So here now I'm having 11.5 inches. So I'll measure all I have on my hip. Because this is a straight dress block, not a pencil dress, I'll be taking what I have on my hip, which is 11.5, all the way to my gown full length. That is, I'll be marking 11.5 all the way to the end of my dress. Then I'll be connecting each of these points together. So I'll just be blending out my hip line so I don't have any sharp point there. Next, I'll be coming down to get my shoulder, my yoke, or the depth of my neckline rather. I'll be coming down by 6.5 inches from the center front and 5.5 inches on my armhole side. Then I'll connect like so. So this is my neck depth. Then next I'm going to be getting my bust tightening of 1/2 inch on both sides of my darts after my dart leg, as you can see. So after my dart leg, I marked 0.5 inches on both sides. This is for our bust tightening. Then I'm going to be measuring the leg of my darts to make sure what I have on one side is equal to what I'm going to be having on the other side. So where there's a shortage, I'm going to increase it and reconnect back to my center front, as you can see me doing here. So we have to complete the shortage, if not our pattern will not align. Next, I'm going to be replacing my shoulder dart. So you can see when I closed up this dart, what I'm having here now is 5.5 and our shoulder is 7.5. So for us not to have a shortage on our shoulder, we have to replace this dart here on our armhole. So I'll be marking out different points on the nipple to nipple line on my yoke. I'll be marking those same points on my armhole line. Then be transferring the measurement I have on each of that points. I'll be transferring it to my armhole. So I'll measure what I have there. I'll transfer it to my armhole side and mark the same thing. I'll measure what I have here on the dart. I'll move it to my armhole side and mark the same thing. Then I'll connect all those points together. So now we've moved our shoulder dart to the armhole. So now I'll just be marking out my basic neckline. I don't need any kind of neckline here, but I just want to get my shoulder slope. So after marking my 3 inches now, I'll be getting my shoulder slope from that 3 inches point, as you can see here. So from this end here, this point here, I'll be going out by 1.5 inches. So that is where my sleeve will be inserting our sleeve. So I won't be drafting my sleeve, but I'm marking the point where our sleeve will be starting from. So 1.5 inches away, that is where our sleeve will be starting from. Now for the back draft, we'll mark our chest line measurement of 7.25. We'll mark our half length of 15.5. Then we'll draw a straight line. After which we'll get our hip measurements, our hip line of 8 inches. Then our gown full length of 47 inches. Next thing I'll be doing now is to get our shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll mark that also on our chest line. Then draw a straight line. Then I'm going to be marking my bust measurement now divided by 4. I'll be marking that on my chest line. Then I'll mark my 0.75. This is for our zipper to help us avoid zipper bulge. So our zipper does not rise at that center back. So I'll be connecting that 0.75 to the top of our neckline and also towards our hip line. Then I'll be taking our measurement after that point. Our waist measurement now divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that. Then I'll be marking our hip measurement also divided by 4. So whatever I have on my hip, I'll be taking it all the way to the end of my dress because this is a straight dress. So I'll be marking my nipple to nipple now 3.75. Then I'll go out by ½ inch on both sides so we can get our dart leg. Then I'll be going up with 5 inches and coming down by 5 inches for the length of our back dart. So this is our dart leg here. Then for our armhole curve, I'll be getting the midpoint of our armhole line there, and I'll connect it to our bust measurements. Next, I want to get the depth of my back neck, and I came down by 8 inches from the center back, and I'll just be connecting it like so. So you can connect this how you want your back to look like. In no particular way, just connect it how you want your back to be. So now I'll be extending my dart leg so I can indicate where our sleeve will be, and I'll be going out by 1 inch on both sides of this dart leg. So this is where our sleeve is going to be. Our sleeve is going to be 2 inches, so going out by 1 inch on both sides, that's 2 inches. Now for these gathers at the side of our dress, I'll be coming down from our waistline with 4 inches. After which I'll be closing up these darts on our pattern and tape it down. So we'll be cutting out these darts, so I'll just tape it down for now. I won't tape it too much because we'll still be removing the tape. From the lower part of our dress, I'll be marking 3.5 inches all the way up, which I'll be connecting to the 4 inches I have on my hip line. So I later made this to be 3 inches instead of 3.5 inches. I'll be explaining that later on in this video. So I connected it like so. You can use your free hand just to draw out the arc here. So if I use this 3.5, I was going to have 7 inches at the front, but later I made it 3, that's 6 inches. So for my back also, I'll be coming down by 4 inches from my waistline. Then from my center back, I'll be going in with my 3.5 inches. So I only made the correction to the front by going in by 3 inches, but the back I still maintained the 3.5 inches. So for my center back, I went in with 3.5 inches. So this is my back and this is my front. So I also be taking this on this tightening here for my zipper. I'll be showing us how to go about this because our dress does not have joining on the midpoint. So I'll show us how to go about eliminating that dart there. So for this part, if I used the 3.5 inches I marked earlier, it means I'm going to be having my center front piece attached to my side piece, which I will then attach to the gathers. But when I make use of 3 inches, I will just be attaching my center front piece directly to the gathers. So attaching it directly that way is finer rather than having my center front piece, then side piece, then gathers. So attaching the gathers to the center front piece is better and finer. So I adjusted this pattern to 3 inches at the front. So that is why I did that. But for the back, I still maintain the 3.5 inches. So now I'll be cutting out my darts, my gathers, or my pattern for the gathers. So guys, if at this point you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please click on the subscribe button below and also the notification bell so you get updated anytime we post a video on this channel. Also like this video and share it. Thank you. So at this point now, we'll be taking note of what we have here so it can help us when cutting our sleeve. I have 5.5 inches from my shoulder to the yoke, and at the back I have 7.5 inches. That is, altogether we have 13 inches. So this means the length of our sleeve will be 13 inches plus half inch sewing allowance on both sides, that's 14 inches. So that's why we have to measure that part. So we'll cut out our zipper tightening. Then for this part, this is how we are going to be eliminating this dart. We'll be closing it up like this, so we won't be cutting through because our dress does not have a joining there. So we'll close up the dart, then use our paper tape to tape it down like so. Then this is our zipper side and our side of our pattern. So I'm making use of 4 yards of this cotton fabric here, and I'm gone ahead to cut out my pattern. I left 1.25 inches allowance for the zipper side, 1 inch allowance at the side, and ½ inch round the other part of our pattern. Now I also went ahead to cut 4 pieces of each of this pattern, so 2 for my back main fabric and 2 for the lining piece. So I'll be using this cotton fabric to line my dress also. So what I'm doing here, I'm just replicating my dart. I'm drawing out my dart leg, so I'll be drawing this out on the 4 pieces so that I know where to sew my darts. So after doing this, now I'll take it to my machine and sew for the 4 pieces for both the lining and the main fabric. Now for this front, I also went ahead to cut 4 pieces for the lining and the main dress. Then I'll keep one aside. Then I'm going to be putting the sides together. I'll pin it, then sew using ½ inch all the way. Now for my sleeve, I measured 11.5 inches by 14 inches, which is the length of my sleeve. So I'll be folding it up like this, then sewing with 0.25 inches allowance, after which I'll turn it out. So by the time I fold it, this is what I'm going to be having for my sleeve. So I'm going to sew it now. So here now I've sewn my sleeve, and I did loose stitches at the hem, which I'll be running my gathers till it gets to 2 inches. Then on this side I have 5.5 inches for the width of my sleeve. So after sewing my front blouse now, I'll be measuring 1.5 inches away from the joining there. After the 1.5 inches mark, I'll be marking out 2 inches also. So the hem of my sleeve will be on that 2 inches. So I'll be running my 5.5 inches width of my sleeve till it's 2 inches. I'll be attaching it to that part of my dress. So I'll be doing that for the other side. I'll mark 1.5 inch away from the joining, then mark 2 inches where my sleeve will be. After which I will use my lining to close it up. I'll sew using ½ inch. So this is what I have after doing that. And I also went to sew down the lining and the main piece together so they don't move. Then for the back pieces also, I've sewn my dart now. I will also be marking out where my sleeve is going to be. And from my dart leg, I'll mark it straight up, then go out with 1 inch on both sides of my dart line, as I did earlier on my pattern. So I'll mark 1 inch on both sides of that line. That is where my sleeve is going to be. So I will place my front blouse now on top of the back, making sure the right side of my back piece faces the right side of my front piece, like so. Then I will place my sleeve on the 2 inches point, like so. So the right side facing the right side. You can see how I placed my sleeve. I didn't twist it anyway, I just laid it flat, placed it on top of the 2 inches, then I'll sew it down. After which I'll be placing my lining piece on it, then sew it down using ½ inch, making sure the lining is also the right side facing the right side. So this is what we have. Now I want to close up these parts where my zipper will be. I'll turn it over like so and sew using 0.25 inches. I added 1.25 for my zipper allowance. So after sewing with 0.25, I'm left with 1. So I'll be closing up my zipper allowance with 1 inch and my side with 1 inch. Now for my gathers, I'll be dividing my pattern into 3. I'll divide it randomly. I'll just draw a straight line. Then I'll number each of the pieces I'm going to be having. So we have 6 pieces here. I'll cut through each of the pieces. So I have 6 pieces here. Now I'm going to be folding my fabric into 2, and I have a length of 29.5 inches. Then I'm making use of 2 yards, that's 36 by 2, that's 72 by length or by width. 72 by width and 29.5 by length. So I'll be placing my panels or my pieces on this fabric now, and I'm going to pin them down, and I'll be giving a distance of 12 inches between each panels. 12 inches between each panel. Then I'll be joining each of the points together like so. You can see how I'm connecting the tip of each panel together. Then I'm going to cut out, making sure I leave ½ inch for my joining allowance. So I won't cut directly on the chalk. I'll be cutting ½ inch above the chalk mark. I'll cut it all the way. So this is it. After that, I'm going to be folding my fabric into 2 so I can get the midpoint of this fabric. So I label the front and the back. I will notch the middle and mark it. So the middle of these pieces here is going to be attached to the middle of my dress, the side of my dress. So the middle of this is going to be attached to the side of my dress. That's why I have to take note of it. So this is my dress here. I'll be folding it sideways, so I can place my gathers properly. So I'll be making sure the place I marked front is facing the front of my dress. Then I'll be pinning the ends together, making sure they are equal. I'll sew using ½ inch all the way to 23 inches. So I also measured from the side of my dress to 8 inches downwards. That is where my gather started from. So I did that, or I also went up from the hem of my dress by 23 inches. So after that 23 inches, that is where my gathers will start from. And I'm going to gather it till I get to the middle of my dress. So this middle is going to stop on the side of my dress. So I'm going to gather it till the middle of this fabric here gets to the side of my dress. I'll do the same for the back. I'll measure 8 inches from the side all the way, and after 8 inches I'm going to be sewing a straight line. So I said I also did this. I measured 23 inches from the hem, so I will be sewing straight for 23 inches, after which I will gather the rest. Then I added my zipper and hemmed the down of my dress, and this is how our dress came out, looking very beautiful. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next tutorial.